My trust in my GF crumbled at dinner when her brother told me her dark secret. Our love was built on lies, so now it's revenge time. Hey there guys, Zara here, and welcome back to another amazing episode of Tea Time with Zara. I want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy today's video. Hey everyone, I'm Alex, and I'm 22 years old. I've been dating my girlfriend Sarah, who's also 22, for about 2 years now. We've had a pretty solid relationship until recently when things started getting weird with her dad, Michael. He's in his late 40s and has always been kind of overprotective of Sarah, but I never thought much of it until now. So a few days ago, I saw a text pop up on Sarah's phone while she was in the shower. It was from her dad, and it said something like, "We'll tell him when the time is right." It struck me as odd, and I couldn't shake the feeling that they were keeping something from me. I decided to ask Sarah about it when she got out, and she just brushed it off, saying it was a misunderstanding and that I had nothing to worry about. She reassured me that she was faithful and loved me, but I couldn't help feeling uneasy. The next time we had dinner with her family, I noticed Sarah and her dad were being kind of flirty with each other. It was subtle, but there were these little inside jokes and glances that didn't sit right with me. It made me feel pretty uncomfortable, and my suspicions from the text message weren't going away. I needed to get this off my chest, so I talked to my best friend, Jamie. He's the same age as us and has been my go-to guy for advice since high school. I told him everything, and he said I might be reading too much into it. Jamie told me to trust Sarah and not to jump to conclusions without more evidence. I wanted to believe him, but it was hard. Things got worse when Michael asked to have a chat with me. It was supposed to be a man-to-man talk, but it felt more like he was sizing me up and putting me down. He didn't say it outright, but he hinted that I wasn't good enough for his daughter. It was pretty demeaning, and it made me start to question my place in Sarah's life. Trying to fix things, Sarah planned a romantic getaway for just the two of us. I thought maybe this could help us get past whatever was going on. But when we got to the hotel room, I found a gift hidden there. It was a bracelet from Michael to Sarah with an inscription that was way too personal. It said, "To my darling, forever and always." I confronted Sarah about it, and we got into a huge fight. She kept denying there was anything going on, but she couldn't explain the bracelet in a way that made sense to me. I was feeling completely betrayed. I couldn't stay there and pretend everything was fine, so I left the getaway early. I was so confused and didn't know who to trust anymore. Sarah, who I thought I knew, or her dad, who was acting like he had some kind of hold over her. It was a mess, and I just had to get out of there. Update 1. A lot has happened since my last update, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all. After that mess of a romantic getaway, I've been avoiding Sarah like the plague. She's been blowing up my phone, trying to explain the bracelet from her dad, but I just can't deal with it right now. I mean, how do you even explain something like that? It's not just a simple gift. It had an intimate inscription that made my stomach churn. Meanwhile, Michael has been acting like the world's best future father-in-law. He's been reaching out, offering support, and giving me advice on how to handle the situation. At first, I thought it was kind of him, but now I'm starting to feel like he's enjoying this a little too much. He keeps dropping these subtle hints that maybe Sarah isn't the angel I thought she was. I hate to admit it, but part of me has started to believe him. Sarah must have felt me pulling away because she reached out to Jamie for help. Jamie's my best friend, and he's been stuck in the middle of this whole mess. He agreed to talk to me about Sarah, but I can tell something's off. He's been acting weird around her, and I'm starting to suspect he might have feelings for her. It's like I can't trust anyone anymore. To make things even more complicated, Michael threw this huge party at his place. He made a big show of praising me in front of all his rich friends, which felt good at the moment, but now it just seems like another one of his tactics to win me over. But here's where things get really twisted. At the party, I overheard Michael talking to his business partner about some of his past flings. It was just a snippet of conversation, but it was enough to make me question everything he's told me. What if he's the one I shouldn't trust? Later that night, I saw Sarah confronting Michael. She was furious, accusing him of trying to sabotage our relationship. Michael just laughed it off, but I could see the fear in Sarah's eyes. It was like she was fighting a losing battle. And then there was Linda, this woman I've never seen before, watching the whole thing with this look of, I don't know, intrigue, like she knew something we didn't. I'm stuck in this weird place where I don't know who to believe. Sarah's desperate to fix things. Michael's playing the supportive, almost father-in-law, and Jamie's caught up in his own feelings. And then there's Linda, a complete stranger who might just hold a piece of the puzzle. I'm not sure what to do next, but I'm starting to think that maybe, just maybe, I've been looking at this all wrong. Update 2. A lot has happened since my last post, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it all. Months have gone by, and Sarah and I decided to take a break. I've been hanging out with Michael a lot, and he's been like a mentor to me. But things got weird when Linda, a guest from Michael's party, came up to me out of the blue. She claimed she had dirt on Michael, saying he wasn't the stand-up guy I thought he was. I didn't want to hear it. I've always seen Michael as a straight shooter, so I brushed her off, thinking she was just stirring up drama. Meanwhile, Sarah's been leaning on Jamie for support. I guess they've been spending a lot of time together, and he's been there for her when I wasn't. I can't blame her. I've been pretty distant. But I didn't realize Jamie had his own agenda. He's been into Sarah for a while, and now he's using this whole mess to get closer to her. Then, things took a turn for the bizarre. Michael, who's always seemed so in control, made a move on Linda. What he didn't know was that Linda wasn't just some random woman. She was an old flame with a score to settle. She recorded him hitting on her and sent it to me. Hearing Michael like that, all sleazy and smooth-talking, it was like a slap in the face. It made me start to question everything he'd told me. Sarah found out about Jamie's feelings for her, and it's thrown her for a loop. She's torn up about it because she's still loyal to me, but I can tell she's confused. Jamie's been a good friend to her, and I've been, well, not so much. I had to confront Michael about the recording Linda sent me. He tried to laugh it off, saying it was just a big misunderstanding, but I could tell he was scrambling. The charm that always worked on me before wasn't cutting it this time. I left his office feeling like I didn't know who he was anymore. So here I am, stuck in the middle of this mess, not sure who to trust or what to believe. Michael's been like a father figure to me, and now I'm starting to see this manipulative side of him. Sarah's caught between her feelings for me and whatever's going on with Jamie, and I'm just trying to figure out where I stand in all of this. It's a lot to process, and I'm just hoping I can make sense of it all soon. Update 3. I have to get this update off my chest. So much has happened since I last wrote about the mess with my girlfriend Sarah and her dad Michael. I've been trying to make sense of everything, and it's been a roller coaster, to say the least. After all the weirdness and the suspicions, I started to really look at things differently. I kept my distance from Michael, who I once thought was a supportive figure, and began to see the pieces of the puzzle falling into place. It was like my eyes were finally open. Sarah had been acting strange, and I could tell she was holding something back. I thought maybe she was feeling guilty about whatever was going on with Jamie, who had been around a lot more since we were on a break. But before she could say anything, I confronted her. I just laid out all my suspicions about her and her dad, and I didn't hold back. That's when she broke down. Through tears, she told me that Michael had been blackmailing her with a family secret. He was using it to control her, and by extension, our relationship. I couldn't believe it. All this time, I thought she might be cheating on me, but she was being manipulated by her own father. I felt like such a fool for not trusting her. I was so caught up in my own head, I didn't see the pain she was going through. It hit me hard, and I was filled with remorse for ever doubting her. Then there's Jamie. He picked the worst possible time to confess his love for Sarah. It just made everything more complicated. Sarah was already dealing with so much, and then he dropped this bomb on her. I could tell she didn't know what to do with that confession. Meanwhile, Michael was clueless about what Sarah had told me. He thought he could still win me over, so he planned this grand gesture to get back into my good graces. It was so fake, and I could see right through it. Sarah and I decided we needed to stick together to figure out the full extent of Michael's deceit. We pretended to reconcile with him, to play along with his games. It was the only way to get to the bottom of everything. And then, out of nowhere, Michael suggests a family vacation to celebrate us all getting back on track. He has no idea that Sarah and I are onto him and that we're using this trip to uncover more about his lies. It's like we're walking on a tightrope, trying to balance everything until we can expose Michael for who he really is. I never imagined I'd be in this situation, but here we are, pretending everything is fine when it's anything but. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I do know that Sarah and I are in this together now. We're going to see this through, no matter what Michael has planned. Last update. A lot has happened since my last update, and I've got to get this off my chest. So we're on this family vacation that was supposed to be a celebration of us all getting along again. Sarah and I had a plan. We were going to confront Michael and call him out on all his manipulative games, but things didn't go exactly as we thought they would. From the moment we arrived, Michael was acting like he'd won some kind of prize. He was more openly flirtatious with Sarah than I'd ever seen him, and it was like he was doing it just to get a rise out of me. I had to bite my tongue and play along, pretending not to notice, while I tried to figure out his endgame. Then, out of nowhere, Linda shows up. She corners Michael and tells him she's ready to spill everything she knows about him to the whole world. I've never seen the man sweat like that. He was scrambling, trying to get her to keep quiet, but Linda wasn't having any of it. She was like a force of nature, completely immune to his usual tricks. Sarah, seeing Linda stand up to her dad, found her own courage. In the middle of the hotel lobby, with everyone watching, she called Michael out for all the ways he'd tried to control her life. It was intense. People were staring, and I could tell Michael was freaking out about his precious reputation. Just when I thought things couldn't get more dramatic, Jamie shows up. He must have followed us or something. He stands there, in front of everyone, and declares his love for Sarah. It was like something out of a bad movie, and it just threw gasoline on the already raging fire. Michael tried to laugh it off, to charm his way out of the mess like he always does. But nobody was buying it this time. He looked pathetic, scrambling to regain control of the situation. And then Linda drops the biggest bombshell of all. She's Michael's estranged sister. He'd done something terrible to her years ago, and now she was back for payback. It was like the final piece of the puzzle. Suddenly, Sarah and I had an unexpected ally in our corner. The whole scene was chaos. Michael's image was shattered, Jamie was pouring his heart out, and Linda was standing there like some avenging angel. Sarah and I just stood there watching as everything Michael had built crumbled around him. I don't know what's going to happen next, but right now, it feels like we've finally got the upper hand.